Can't even read this. Right, flour. 16 ounces. I think that's enough. But, oh yes, civet. And some butter.
Mum.
Oh dear, Daddy will be pleased.
Mum, let me do it.
Listen. Don't worry, we'll cheer it up with a little icing. It's not too bad.
Mum, the dinner! They're all burnt.
I think I better make some toast.
Can we have spaghetti bolognese?
Beg your pardon, Nigel?
Spaghetti bolognese. It's from Italy. The sauce comes in the tin.
I wouldn't know how to cook such a thing.
I'll show you.
You sure this is a good idea?
You have to put it in the pan.
What on earth's this?
It's spaghetti bolognese.
It's Italian.
Italian? What the hell's wrong with you, Nigel? It's rock hard.
It isn't cooked yet.
Stupid idea, if you ask me.
See, I told you it wouldn't fit.
What the hell is this?
Cheese. Percy Salt said you have to put it on or it doesn't work.
Smells like sick.
Oh. I don't think so.
Breathlessness, nausea. I'm telling you, it's the same as my mum. Sick all the time for no reason, picky with food. 9 months later, hello, out pops our Julie.
How do you think she got pregnant?
Pete's sake, Nigel.
I don't think they've had sex for years.
You'd be surprised.
Oh, milk. I think I'm going to throw up. Hey, I'll have it if you're not going to drink it. What's it worth? I'll show you my knickers. I'd let you see my willy. What? And if you give me your puddings, I'll give you a feel. Well, actually, I go home for dinners. Oh, just bear it in mind for the future. Here, you can have it for now.
The offer's there, Nigel.
It's my lungs, Nigel. I'm not going to be very well. Maybe for quite a long time.
But you'll be all right by Christmas, won't you?
I don't know, Nigel.
But you'll still teach me how to make mince pies, don't you?
Of course I will.
Promise?
I promise.
Come on. Let's have a crumpet.
She's not going to be better for Christmas, is she?
No, son. Look.
What's going to happen, Dad? Is she going to be all right?
Nigel, everything's going to be fine.
Is in your eyes, the look your heart can't disguise, the look of love is saying so much more, just words can never say. Takes my breath away. I can hardly wait to hold you, feel my arms around you. How long I have waited just to love you. Now that I have found you, you've got the look of love. It's on your face.
And so it was, Mrs. Potter became a regular part of my father's routine. She scrubbed, polished, and bleached her way into our lives.
What's the matter?
You're wearing my mum's apron.
Well, what do you want me to wear? An evening gown? Would you like to help me bake a cake?
You shouldn't be wearing it. It's not yours.
All right. Keep your hair on, buggerlugs. It's only an apron.
Does your husband know that you're cooking our suppers?
Look, don't patronise me, son. Just because I don't talk or bay window doesn't mean I'm a fool, you know. You're a child. You know nothing about what people go through. Here's the apron. Wouldn't have thought you were so sentimental about it, from what I've heard of her cooking.
I don't see why she has to come.
Look, there's nothing wrong with me inviting Mrs. Potter. This is the Masonic event of the season.
Dad, she's our cleaner. I mean, look where she lives.
Look, Joan has been very good to us.
She lives in a council house.
Where she lives is of no consequence.
It's not right. She should be inside with her husband, not coming out with us to Masonic dances.
Nigel, you're the one who didn't want to be left on their own. And you don't understand anything about Mrs. Potter's personal arrangements. And anyway, she's got nothing to hide. She's a very respectable woman.
Bugger! Bleeding dog! Bloody me tight. Bleeding wall, bugger. Come on, darling. Let's get a move on before anyone clocks us. Oh, hello, Nigel.
Hello.
Well, lovely. 3 of us all together.
Hello. Have you met Joan? Joan Potter? Ruby Sturridge.
Nice to meet you.
She's our cleaner.
Ooh. What are you doing in there?
Nothing.
Absolutely delicious. What's for breakfast?
How about a scone?
Scone?
And a nice cup of tea.
So, where the hell did they come from?
I made them earlier.
What do you mean you made them earlier?
School. Taste one.
But I made it because of reform.
Well, I'm sure it'll keep. Actually, they're not half bad, Nigel. Excellent effort. Does this mean you'll be doing the cooking every Wednesday from now on?
Yes. It does, actually.
Well done, Nigel.
Yeah. Well done, son. Well done.
My life, tearing me apart, breaking up my world, about giving up my heart. Ooh, little by little by little.
You really have to go home now, Nigel.
It's really getting bad, hurting deep inside is making me go mad. Ooh, little by little by little by little, little by little, bit by.
Don't you have some homework to do?
Bugger off.
You're Nigel, aren't you? The Fanny Craddock of Knightswick Lane.
Not anymore. My dad stopped me coming. To be quite honest, I only came to get out of the house. Though I think I'd like to be a cook eventually. How come you know so much about it?
I don't, really. Granny was French, so I just picked a few things up on holiday. I've got a very good attitude, the French.
Like Marguerite Patton.
Nigel and Margaret Patton's from High Barnet. They follow their instincts. Let's get out of here. That's the trouble with everyone around here. They're also hidebound. If you don't get out, you'll turn into your parents. How long have you lived here?
A few years. We moved from Wolverhampton.
The culinary capital of the Midlands. What made you want to be a chef?
I don't know, really. I just like it. Somehow it feels quite natural. How did you know you wanted to be a ballet dancer?
I don't. I only agreed to go down there so I could get away from them.
So you don't want to be a ballet dancer?
God, no. I don't have a clue what I want to be. How the hell do you stand it here?
Don't have much choice.
You have every choice in the world. You just got to be brave. You can be anything you want to be.
Do you think?
So how old are you really?
17.
But you have worked in the kitchen.
Yeah. I do a very good lemon meringue.
That's what they all say, sunshine.
All right, you're on. Are you sure?
I've been attached to a couple of projects with Rubin. I've been working with them for some time, and Toast kind of came out of the blue, really. They sent me the script, and it was all very, very fast, probably the fastest I've ever read a script and been on a job, ever. And I think that's testament to the brilliant script that Lee wrote. But I got sent it, I think, on the Friday, and by the Monday, I was on it. And it was one of those rare and wonderful moments, really, where you get sent a script that you completely love and you completely think, yes, I absolutely want to make this. And I just couldn't imagine not making it. When I got sent the script, I didn't touch the book. In fact, I didn't touch the book for about a month. I wanted to completely read and immerse myself in Lee's world and what Lee had put forth, and therefore sort of come up with a true sense of the film that I wanted to make. And then I went back to the book, and I went back to the book then for things like details and characterizations and other things, because obviously it's I actually got the audio book read by Nigel, which was wonderful, actually, and definitely worth getting if you love it. But it's because he reads it and you really get an understanding of how he felt at the time, and his emotion and everything that he puts into it. But it's a 6-hour listen. It's a 6-hour book, and we're making a 90-minute film. So in some ways you have to always let the book go. But I think what's brilliant about working on adaptation is there's so much rich layers and information there in the book that you can pull from and add to the characters, the looks, the sets, the props, the design and everything. Obviously, as a director, I need the freedom to make the story I want to tell and the story that I see. But equally, if you're telling the story of somebody's life, that comes with a huge weight of responsibility. And I wanted Nigel to be happy. And I think that the first thing is to make sure everybody's happy in the script, because, you know, that's the spine of everything. And once you've got that, you can then elaborate and, you know, direct and pull forward in other directions. But ultimately, if it's there on the page in the beginning, then everyone's happy with that, and he was. And there were things that Nigel wanted to tweak, which so I had a long meeting with him, a couple of long meetings actually. I think we probably met 3 or 4 times, maybe 3 or 4 times before the read through, just to go through the script and certain elements, and just for me to glean more information and more detail. So I got to learn much more about little Nigel than was ever in the book, which was an absolute delight and joy. And hopefully we've managed to bring some of those extra things to the film as well. Ultimately, I guess this is the story of a little boy who is growing up in a rather oppressed, loveless, emotionless household, and the one thing that he loves and connects with is food. And so for me, it was trying to make sure that we understood that food was where the magic began. So in order to do that, I thought the food had to become a feature, or anything related to food. So for example, when he's cooking with Mum in the beginning, he loves his mum and his mum loves him, but she's hopeless in the kitchen. But however, when he's cooking with her, there is an element of hope that the cake might come out well. So the sun is shining and it's a lot brighter and it's a lot sunnier, but however, when the cake comes out of the oven and it's sunk and burnt and absolutely disgusting and inedible, he looks at his mother and suddenly with huge disappointment, and the sun goes in and the thunderclouds roll. So it's sort of in that way we've tried to make it magical, that almost in a way the weather works with Nigel and his hopes and disappointments for food. And also the food itself, if that is the thing that he focuses on as a child, then I wanted to really focus our audience's attention to the food. So it was important to make sure that the food popped, the colour of the food popped. And so we tried to avoid any primary colours in any of the sets and any of the costumes, in order so that all the food, we could absolutely push those primary colours. So peas would look really green, the spaghetti would look very yellow, the bolognese would look quite red, the trifle would look incredibly pink. So everything to do with food was bright and colourful, because that was the world he wanted to be in. There was just something about him, and every time I worked with him and every time I talked about the scene and every time I gave him direction, he seemed to really respond. But of course it's such a big ask for a child of that age who's never done anything before, but I believed in him enough to take that risk of going with somebody sort of untried in a way on screen before, because there was just something so unique about him. I think he's a wonderful little actor, I really do, and I feel very lucky that we got him for Nigel. What Oz does have, which is really special, I think, is he still has the innocence, but he's so wise as well, and he sort of understood notes, and I could talk to him like I was talking to, you know, a grown-up in a way, which is the way you should really direct children anyway. I think they are. We were very lucky. We had a bunch of really smart children, really smart kids, and all with great parents who were so sort of excited, enthusiastic and encouraging about the project, which really helps. But Oz definitely has this rare and wonderful quality of sort of an innocence and a wisdom sort of running parallel together, which sort of seemed perfect for Nigel, because that is who he was. He sort of had a great understanding of what was going on around him, but yet he was just this little lost boy, and I think Oz was really able to understand that and articulate that through his performance. Freddie is just fantastic. You've just got to look at all his films prior to this, you know, Finding Neverland, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He's just, again, he has a very similar quality. I think they both have a similar quality, Oscar and Freddie. Freddie's obviously the grown-up version of it, but just he's staggering, actually, Freddie, working with him. He's only 18, and I don't think I've ever worked with a more technically brilliant actor. He understood exactly where you needed to be, and I remember there were a few scenes with the lemon meringue pie where he needed to sort of slightly waft it past camera or past Mrs. Potter and lift it up and bring it into frame, and he just could do it. It was extraordinary. I was quite overwhelmed by how brilliant he was. Mrs. Potter's in the book is written from the foreshortened perspective of a 9-year-old boy, and that's, I think, one of the joys of the book, and indeed the script, that you are seeing it from Nigel's perspective, and that's one of the reasons I loved it and fell in love with the script, because I thought that's so original and interesting to completely do it from his perspective and not kind of, you know, just as a drama looking at it. And I definitely use that in all areas of the direction, what a boy would see, camera angles, camera height, things like that. So with Mrs. Potter, I felt that, you know, there are times when you can see it from Nigel's perspective, but equally you had to be careful that she didn't then come across as two-dimensionally horrid, because actually she was a real person. She is, and there is, you know, two sides to her, and I felt that we should show that and we should humanise her. Well, I think Helen is a genius. I think she is such a clever actress, and she thinks about everything. She absolutely comes to the set with so many ideas and so many choices in the way that she wants to approach the scene, and she gives you lots of options, and she can be unbelievably funny. She can be so funny. She could have me literally crying with laughter at the monitor and also bring me straight back down with a look and absolutely cut to the core of you. I think she's incredibly clever at being able to do that, and I think she was perfect for her. I mean, I know when we first talked about Helena doing it, and I was like, she'd be absolutely brilliant, there were a few raised eyebrows, and some people thought I was crazy, because this is a Midlands working class woman, which is quite a long way from who Helena is. But I just have seen her do so many roles in the past and she's just absolutely grabbed them all and confidently taken them, you know, sometimes to the extreme, which I think is really exciting. There's two sides to Dad as well, and I do think Ken brilliantly showed that as well. I mean, Dad does. They live in a time where you don't show emotions. Dad is of an era where you don't talk about your feelings, and you know, you don't cry, and you know, and so when you do, it's a big deal. And I think there are some wonderful moments where Ken has humanised Dad, who again is in the book is a much harder character at times, but I think you see some real harshness to Dad, and he is so mean to Nigel, but yet there are moments like the crumpet scene where I find heartbreaking, and I think Ken did an amazing job in this film, because you know, to pull off that character which again could just seem one-dimensionally horrid throughout, to find a way to show all the colours of that character, I think was just very clever. And in the crumpet scene, I think where he's desperately trying to tell his son that Mum's not going to be okay and he can't, and almost that British it's all going to be fine, stiff upper lip comes in at the end, and I find that absolutely heartbreaking. And you know, again when Mum's actually died and he's in the room, he still can't tell him, and he just curls up in a ball and cries on Nigel's bed. I find that heartbreaking, and I think there's some real moments of truth in there. I watched the casting reels, and I just was absolutely gripped to Victoria's performance. Even in the casting room, she absolutely understood who Mum was, her flaws. She didn't shy away from playing them, and she absolutely gave me the vulnerability without making it schmaltzy. I think Victoria's such a clever, wonderful actress, and we were blessed to have her come and play Mum. We loved the cook-off, especially the lemon meringue pie. But I think what she brilliantly captured is in the scones scene where Nigel comes home with the scones, and you suddenly find her under threat for the first time, because the cooking, that's her arena. That's what she's good at, and that's what she's moved into the house to do, is the cooking and the cleaning, and that in her mind I think earns her place with Dad. So when Nigel comes in with the scones and Dad likes them, suddenly, you know, her territory is being threatened. And I think what Helena did is that there isn't a beat missed in that scene with her. You get the fact that she's totally pissed off that it's made the scones, and then the threat of Dad, and almost the dismissive of, oh, these scones aren't going to be much cop, and then she notices Dad likes them, and literally the threat starts and the eyes are going, and she literally doesn't know what to do with herself, and it's as much as she can do to get out those lines, well done son. And I think she just managed to capture Mrs. Potter brilliantly. If there's one scene I think that completely sums up Mrs. Potter and both sides of her, it's that one, because you can see how angry she is, suppressed anger at the scones being brought to the table, but equally her threat, her feeling threatened from Nigel, and realising that actually she's got to up her game. I think for me, I'm really pleased with that moment, because A, I think it's lovely that Nigel's in the story, and B, it's so nice that he gets to be the one to tell himself that everything's going to be all right. And, you know, I put him eating toast at the end, just 'cause. And so I think it's a really special moment. But hopefully, what I didn't want to do was, you know, make it so obvious that it was Nigel. So hopefully if you don't know that it's Nigel Slater, you'll just think, oh, this is the chef that gives him his break. But if you do know it's him, hopefully that will just make the end just that little bit sweeter. When Nigel saw the film, he turned to me at the end and he said, it's magical. So that was probably the best response I could have got, and that's, I guess, my hope for the film, is that people watch it and find it magical and enjoy it.